post-acute withdrawal can get triggered just by stress. Okay, so what happens is when this is real active here, this shuts down, and it's hard to think. Your memory's also up here in your neocortex. Okay, and so that can get affected as well. So here are the symptoms. These are things that you can start to notice. The first one is an inability to think clearly. That includes mind racing, where that's like at night. I just wish I could switch my brain off, like when I was trying to get to sleep. God, I just can't stop thinking. I can't stop. My mind just keeps going and going and going, okay? Rigid thinking, it's all or nothing. That's post-acute withdrawal. Oh, God, all the choices. There's no more choices. I have this or this. Okay, everything's black and white. Hard time concentrating, okay? Like staying focused. You know, I used to go to these treatment centers where they would have do 3-hour lectures at a time. And I go, you know what, after the first hour, none of us remember crap, even after maybe half an hour, some of us. Like, you expect us to focus for 3 whole hours without a break? I'm not going to I can't concentrate that long, okay? And illogical thinking. Illogical thinking is when you go, I can get away with this. Like all the ways that your addiction talks to you. Okay, and we've talked about this before, right? Like, being able to recognize when your addiction talks to you and how it talks to you. Like, it can talk to you like a sexy woman, right? Okay, come on, I'll treat you well. Okay, or like one of the guys, screw them, let's go out and get high. That's whatever, okay? So we all have ways it talks to us. Memory problems, because your short-term and your long-term memory are up here too, okay, in this part of the brain and the middle part of the brain. So you can have you can write something down, and then 10 minutes later, can't even remember what you wrote. You know, I used to be reading my big book in AA. Somebody would call on the phone, and then I'd get off the phone, and I'd go back and I'd go, did I read anything in here? I can't remember what I just read. I had to write everything down for the first couple of years. I mean, if you told me something and I'd turn around and walk away and I'd go, what'd you just say? I couldn't remember anything. And if you get stressed out enough, you can actually have long-term memory problems where you forget to do things that you've already known how to do. I'll give you an example. I had a woman she was a crack addict, right? And her husband told her they were doing marital counseling along with her drug addiction. And he said to her in session, if you ever use again, I swear to God, I'm divorcing you and taking the kids. I'm done. That's my bottom line. This is it. I'm not doing this anymore with you. Well, she relapsed and he knew it, right? And so we're sitting in their office waiting for her to show up. And she's like 20 minutes late. And I'm going, well, crack addict, you never know if she'll show up or not, So he said, so finally I get a call, and it's her on the phone. I said, where are you? And she says, I had to pull over. And I said, did you have an accident? Something wrong with your car? And she goes, no, I forgot how to drive. Because I know he's there and he's pissed off, and I just got stressed out, Chris. And I forgot how to drive. I had to pull over, and I said, I believe you. She literally couldn't remember how to drive. I've had people forget how to tie their shoes. Okay, things that you could always do. Like at GM, we had the contract with GM, and their managers would call up when they would come back after treatment, and they would go, Chris, are they retarded now? Are they brain dead? Are they brain damaged? What's going on? Because you know what? This job they did for 40 years or 20 years or whatever, they came back and we had to teach them the job all over again. I said, no, they're just stressed out and coming back. Yeah, just tell them to breathe. Use their safety car, do whatever they got to do, right? They just a little retraining, they can get right back in. Okay, so if you get stressed out enough, things that you always remembered how to do. All right, emotional overreactions, because this is your emotional reasoning, the frontal lobe in your brain, that's shut off. So you can have wide mood swings. And you can go from totally depressed to totally pissed off like that. And you just go, and people look at you and go, you are a crazy person. What is wrong with you? 1 second this is okay, the next it's not, and you're just I was waiting tables when I first got sober, and so everything was fine until I quit smoking. Because I got cancer and they told me I had to they wouldn't do chemo unless I quit smoking too. So I said, oh crap, now I gotta quit smoking too. It's 3 weeks after I quit drinking, right? And so when I'm sitting there post-acute withdrawal, right? I got through the 7 days of that, and then the post-acute withdrawal was bad that day. Because nicotine releases And how much more do you remember? 1,500% more. It's an INE drug like cocaine, methamphetamine, okay? So this, I put down this guy at the big table, right? We're in the weeds, and like, anybody work in the restaurant ever? Like, okay, so like I was in the weeds, right? And I come in, I put this big table down and all these people there, and I put this guy's steak down, and it was like well done, and he says, hey dude, like I wanted my steak rare, and that's kind of like, you know, like burnt, you know? And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I just started crying. I could not stop crying. It was crazy, you know? And I go, oh, and the whole table kind of freaked out, right? And they looked at me and they said, the guy said, it's okay, dude, I'll eat it. I'll eat it, right? And I was like going, I said, no, it's all right, man, your steak, and you should have it the way you want. I'll do like this, I'll live like, you know, like, so I pick it up, right? I'm gonna take it back to the kitchen. And like, have you, like, no, he wanted it well done, and it was rare. I got it backwards. But, so I take it, I'll make sure they get it right, or whatever like that. So, I go back in, and I don't know about you, but like, if you're in the weeds and in working the rest, I'd rather cut off my hand than take food back to the kitchen and have to try to get them to fix it, you know, because they get pissed. Okay, they're wearing the, you know. So I go back and I'm like this, like a blithering idiot, going, I think I steak and you want it well done, and like this, and the cook looked at me, right, the chef, he goes, that is how you do it properly, prime rib. We do it au jus here. We don't put it on the grill. And he shoves it back at me and says, you take that back to him. And I went from boo-hoo into like, oh, hell no, you didn't, right? Like that. It was like that. And I took that and I said, listen, right? I said, you're going to fix this steak and you're going to fix it now. And he says, oh, hell no. And he shoved it back at me and I picked it up and I threw it at him, right? And he had to duck like that. Big drama in the kitchen, right? And everything. Now, fortunately, my manager at the time was in recovery too, and he had my sponsor as his sponsor as well. Like probably 4 or 5 years before I got my sponsor, right? And my sponsor called him and said, hey, he needs a job right now. Will you please hire him? Okay? So he comes around the corner and he goes, Chris, you are having post-acute withdrawal. You need to go home right now if you want to keep this job. We'll got you covered. We'll got you whatever. But he said, get out of here. I said, that's right, I'll get out of here. I'll get out of here right now. You see if I come back. You know, I'm like screaming and whatever. And he says, I'm not going to hold this against you right now because I know that your brain isn't working. You are in post-acute withdrawal, right? Get out, right? So I got outside. The cold air hit my face. And as soon as the cold air hit my face, I just started crying again. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm like brain damage or whatever. I was like, I can't keep a job, you know, whatever. Like, I'm on the subway and people are like in New York, if you're like crying and like crazy, people avoid you, right? So I got a seat, right? Because people are like, get the hell, get away. That guy's crazy. And I'm on there going like, what's going on? You know, like, so that's emotional overreacting. It can be that big, okay, depending on how stressed out you are. All right, because yeah.
Told me years ago that involves testosterone levels, and how you react in certain situations.
Well, you know, like there's a difference between like people that, some people get addicted to anger. Okay.
Well, I guess my question was, alcohol increases those levels, which increases your mood swings, is what was explained to me. So this was probably something they come up with 20 years ago that wasn't right.
Yeah, well, and testosterone can, okay? But the thing that they also don't tell you is that nicotine reduces your testosterone level. So nicotine reduces your testosterone level, so it usually balances them out that way. So the other thing too is that, you know, that emotional withdrawal, some people are addicted to anger too, right? Because it's powerful. Okay, some people are just addicted to that. That's a whole nother issue they got to deal with. Okay. All right, so let's go into coordination problems, okay, where you can, like some people just like get, they spill things, your visual coordination can be off, okay, and people get clumsy, especially the more stressed out you get. Like I twisted my ankles constantly. I was also twisting my ankles, falling over things, dropping things, you know, you go to grab something and your balance is off, or your depth perception can be off. A lot of people when they get sober need glasses. They find out that their depth perception has changed, that they're whatever. So it can cause, when you're really stressed out, it can cause problems with your vision as well. okay? But just, if you start getting clumsy and just dropping things, that can be a sign of that too. Sleep problems, okay? Sleep is down here in your pleasure center as well. That can get all messed up. And you can go from like sleeping, like total insomnia, where you just cannot sleep. There's nothing you can do to get to sleep. You won't die from lack of sleep. You won't function that well, okay? But you won't die from that. And a lot of people just want to medicate that right away, okay? It just, you know, that managing your post-acute withdrawal, the things that you can do, there's some things you can do to help manage post-acute withdrawal, make that a little bit better. But a lot of people run right to the doctor and get like, you know, Lunesta now or other things, like they take Ambien, which can also be very addictive. It's another form of like mild benzo or whatever that like actually acts like alcohol a lot. So you gotta be careful with that if you have a lot of insomnia. And then you can also go from insomnia where like you go to bed on, I used to go to bed on Friday and like not be able to get up till Sunday. When I was having bad post-acute withdrawal, I go, God, Bill, I just can't get out of bed, man, seriously. He goes, well, you're having post-acute withdrawal, you probably needs to sleep right now, okay? You can go from that to hypersomnia where you can't sleep at all.
Can that go in spurts?
Yep, it goes in spurts. Yep. And just depending on like, you can't predict which one you're going to get either.
What if you are treating it with medication like Ambien or something? So when you eventually get off the Ambien, are you still going to be having those?
It takes a little longer to go through the post-acute withdrawal if you're taking drugs like that. Some people have to have chronic pain medication for the rest of their life, right? Or they have to have anxiety drugs if they have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, so if I'm a long-term user of opiates,
Mm-hmm.
and I suddenly quit, and of course I'm going to have this insomnia, and then I medicated with Ambien or something, whenever, like let's say I'm taking the Ambien for a month, you know, and then after that month's
And then
over,
you sleep better, right?
would I be able to sleep like a normal person, or would I still have those withdrawal insomnia?
You'll still have insomnia and hypersomnia for like up to 2 years. Okay? But if you need it initially, I'll say like with pain medication, you also have to, or if you have to be on that, you have to have a monitor and a schedule, and you have to check your motivation for taking it. Right? Like,
Mine is never prescribed.
right, yeah. So you have to like think about like, what's my motivation for using this drug right now? Because some people have to have that. And if you're in the hospital and they're cut into your gut, you're going to want a morphine drip, right? Gut pain is one of the worst pains you can get. All right, so you'd be grateful to be able to press that morphine drip, but you should tell your doctor, like, help me get off this before, you know, I get out of here. So you got to warn your doctors ahead of time too. You know, I've had to educate more doctors. Could you know, in medical school, do you know how much education doctors get on addiction? They get one 60-minute lecture in 4 years. Same thing with nutrition too. They get one, not even a class, not even a whole class like this. So if you sit through all 12 of these groups, you have more education about addiction and recovery than a medical doctor does by the time they get out of medical school. That's pretty amazing to me. We have to educate doctors. Every treatment center I've ever worked at, I said, stop giving these addicts opiates and benzodiazepines, okay? Of course they're gonna drug seek. That's just part of, you know, using, right? Oh, yeah. So they don't, yeah, doctors sometimes are the hardest ones to convince.